Hello everyone, back to you in today's third and final video doing an Ensembles Watch for today's third and final video. So we're going to go through all members of the GFS Ensembles and see what they're all showing for the next couple of weeks. It'll take us pretty much to the end of February into the beginning of March. So we'll see what they're showing, starting with the operational GFS from the midday run and then going through each individual ensemble member. So that's what we're doing for our final video today. The first video release date was the 6th Spring 2020 Analogs update, and that's having a look at January data. That will be placed on the Spring updates page with a written summary very shortly, if it hasn't been already. And then we also released Gaz Service Study Roundup as well, 40-minute epic going over all of the different things that we look at with the Study Roundup. So have a look at that. And it's pretty interesting watch, I think. So have a look at the Study Roundup and see what was discussing there. Right, we're at westcentral.de for this one. And we're going to start off with the latest GFS midday run, operational midday run. We're beginning on Thursday with a band of rain moving across the country, introducing a cooler northwesterly wind following in its wake. As we move through into Friday, it turns wet and windy in the north. Could be some more gale force winds in the far north of the country. Stays quite unsettled into next weekend and following week as well. That looks like a significant area of low pressure giving us a battering on the 24th of February. Here we go again. Another really deep area of low pressure on its way in. That one clears out of the way. And we go into sort of a north-south split, high pressure over France, low pressure to the north of Scotland, probably quite mild and spring-like with that one. And staying very flat as we move into extended range, westerly winds continue right way up to the very end of this GFS run. Eventually, over the start of March, you do build in some higher pressure, so that will give us a drier and potentially rather warmer start to March as well, as the winds are pushing up from the south. As far as we can go with the GFS today, it's a Tuesday the 3rd of March. Right, so that was the operational GFS run. And now have a look at all the other ensemble members. And we're going to start off with the GFS control run. So this run is run at a slightly a lower resolution compared to the operational run, but a slightly higher resolution compared to all other ensemble members. Starting on Sunday, we're assuming that the pattern is more or less locked in until this time next week, more or less. So on Sunday, again, the control GFS run has us in this westerly flow, rather showery and a bit on the cool side up in the north. Deep area of low pressure then starts to move in from off the Atlantic as we go into around the 24th, 25th. So again, that sort of stormy situation around the 24th, 25th of February showing up with the GFS control run. And then we go up to day 10, which is 26th of February, and we're in the southwesterly winds, low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, in pattern of winter, of course. Friday 28th of February shows us in a showery northwesterly, a little bit on the cool side then. And then we go wet and windy as we reach the end of February. Here we go again, quite stormy looking again, those pink colours appearing to the north of Scotland. That's always a bad sign, means you're going to usually go quite stormy. We finish up with the GFS control running a flat westerly wind, and no change really on the pattern that we've been in throughout the whole winter. We're up to the start of March there now, and no change on the pattern of the winter with the GFS control run. This ensemble member number 1, so looking unsettled on Sunday with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic, so at the very least quite showery. Go through to Monday 24th of February, and yes, we're looking unsettled with low pressure dominating. By the time you get through to day 10, that first low pressure is out of the way, the next low is coming in from off the Atlantic, and we keep things very unsettled as we go up towards the end of February. This is Friday the 28th. Low pressure then is pushing through the country, possibly setting up a rather cold and northerly push for the final day of the month. It's not going to last though. That high pressure will very quickly sort of topple away. As we go into the start of March, we're back into those mild or even very mild west to south west winds as more low pressure comes barreling in from off the Atlantic. Ensemble member number 2, again looking rather unsettled and at the very least quite windy and showery for next weekend. We go beyond that to around the 17th of February, 17th of February, a week tomorrow. That's looking quite stormy then. Low pressure to the north of Scotland looks like it's bringing another bout of gale force winds across the country, unfortunately. Then we're back into a cold, showery northwesterly as we run up to day 10, which is 26th of February. Beyond day 10, we have high pressure to our north, to our south, low pressure to the north, and we just keep these westerlies coming. A little bit of a colder snap there sometime around the turn of the month, but it's all still driving in from off the Atlantic, really, with ensemble member number 2. This is ensemble member number 3. Has us in a very mild southwesterly wind next Sunday and bringing in low pressure, so quite unsettled to the northern part of the country. That carries on to Monday the 24th February, Tuesday 25th. Trying to turn wind into the north, so taking us up to day 10. Which is 26th of February. Bit of a northerly snap going on then. Into more extended range, excuse me, ensemble member number 3, and again low pressure is very close to the country, bringing further showery bursts of rain. Then high pressure takes over from the south at the end of the month, and we go into what looks like a much drier, more spring-like spell of weather. High pressure then setting up just to our south and southeast. That'd be a very mild ridge, with a lot of dry weather and probably quite warm as well, so ending up on a spring-like note on ensemble member number 3. Ensemble member number 4, again we're in those westerly winds on Sunday next week, looking quite unsettled and also relatively mild. We keep it unsettled as we move beyond next weekend into the following week up to day 10. Again, high pressures to our south, low pressures to the northwesterlies go on. Bit of a colder northwesterly there by Friday the 28th. Does that set up a northerly push? Let's have a look and see what happens. So not really, again, the high pressure not relenting across France and Spain. So any attempt at a northerly is short-lived, and when we're back into the west or southwest again, that's another attempt at a northerly for the 1st of March. Bit of a colder snap coming through there, and then the high pressure sort of slips in across the country, probably turning us mainly dry and also relatively frosty. Ensemble member number 5, if we can flip over, looks like that. Again, we're in those westerly winds for next Sunday, and then beyond that, looks like we're going to have a go, turning things more stormier again. Bit of a northerly wind there, day 10, ensemble member number 5, winds are swinging into the north. Doesn't last more than a day, it's one day wonder, then the winds are back into the west once again. Then deep low pressure attacks us for the end of February and into the beginning of March. We just hit these very, very deep areas of low pressure coming then through the first week of March. Get to the 3rd of March and we're still looking very unsettled. Ensemble member number 5. Ensemble member number 6 with high pressure to our south, low pressure to our north. Next Sunday, moving up towards day 10, we start to find low pressure increasingly moving in from the northwest. So a bit of a cooler northwesterly by the time we get through to day 10, which is the 26th of March, but not able to set up a proper northerly because we keep the heights going. The high pressure to our south, and then we're into more extended range. Again, low pressure continues to drive in from off the Atlantic. We finish up looking like that. High pressure set over France, low pressure out to our northwest, broadly mild and westerly. Ensemble member number 7, again, it's looking westerly and unsettled for a week's time. Beyond that, moving up towards day 10, low pressure continues to keep coming. Day 10 has us in a chillier northwesterly, possibly with some showers. Beyond that, as we go into more extended range, high pressure then is to our south, low pressure to the north, and we get through towards the end of ensemble member number 7, and there's very little change really for the 3rd of March. High pressure continues to be to our south, low pressure to the north, and my westerlies go on. Ensemble member number 8, again westerly in a week's time, moving out beyond that up towards day 10, a cooler showery northwesterly there for the 25th of February, and then by day 10 itself, 26th, low pressure comes pushing in off the Atlantic, turns very stormy there on the 27th of February. That looks a bit ominous, of about as severe gales will be expected there. And as that low pressure moves away, we start to dig the jet stream south. So this is going a little bit colder compared to other ensemble members. You see the black line, that's moving down towards Spain. Jet stream shifting south and taking these low pressures with them, which starts to allow colder air to sink in to the UK from northern latitudes. Not for long. By the time we get through to the 3rd of March, as far as we can go, we're back into those milder westerlies again. Ensemble member number 9 has us in this mild westerly flow for next Sunday. Moving up towards day 10, going to a cooler, showery northwesterly. By day 10 itself, looking very unsettled and, dare I say, even a little bit stormy. That low pressure gets out of the way. We pull in a proper cold northerly there. Mid-Atlantic ridge trying to get itself up to Greenland. So for the end of February, that is producing quite a potent cold snap with winds genuinely in from the north. This is a proper northerly. This is just a one-day wonder. This is a proper northerly that would last at least 3 or 4 days and would drive cold air even down into the south. Notice that eventually the high pressure is toppling and allowing milder air to roll in over the top. But there's at least 3 to 4 days of cold weather with that for the very end of February into the opening day or so of March. We finish up on Ensemble member 9 back into stormy westerlies again. Ensemble member number 10, again, we're in a mild westerly flow for next weekend. Beyond that, we go into a cooler, showery northwesterly. Day 10 itself, more low pressures coming in off the Atlantic, and then we get up to the 8th of February, and once again we're seeing low pressure driving in from the Atlantic, and we're going into a bit of a colder northerly with that one as well. This one's setting up a bit of a colder snap as well through the very end of February. The low pressure clears away to the east, get a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge building. I don't think it's going to last, but it does go colder there for a few days right at the very end of the month and into the beginning of February. So there's still these hints, still a few hints here and there that we may get a cold snap in the closing days of February. There's still a few hints there, but you've got the idea, but certainly not all ensemble members are going for that. This is ensemble member number 11, again a bit northwesterly for next Sunday. Beyond that, we keep things flat and westerly moving up towards day 10 with further low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. No cold snap with this one. We get to the very end of February, and yes, we're still driving in generally mild west to southwesterly winds, and that goes on as far as we can go. Tuesday the 3rd of March again, looking quite mild with west to southwesterly continuing. Definitely no cold snap with that one. So member number 12, again high pressures over France, Spain, Portugal. Next Sunday, low pressure is up to our north. We go into the start of the following week, and low pressure drives in off the Atlantic for day 10, looking quite unsettled. It's 26th of March. Low pressure is up to the north of Scotland. Winds are in from the west and from the northwest too. We keep these mild west southwesterlies going into the more extended range of ensemble member number 12 as well. We finish up looking like that, still in a very mild west southwesterly. No end of February cold snap with that one either. Ensemble member number 13, high pressure to ourselves, low pressure to the north next weekend, and then we go into the more extended range heading up towards day 10, still looking quite flat. Winds are driving in from off the Atlantic. Low pressure continues to come in off the Atlantic and perhaps hints at going a bit stormy again through the opening days of March. And a bit cold as the low pressure moves towards Scandinavia. We start to pull in some cooler northwesterly winds, but not for long. It's all driving in from off the Atlantic again with that one. Ensemble member number 14, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north next weekend. We get up to the 25th of February and we're into a rather cooler, showery northwesterly. Then the low pressure sinks into the country on Wednesday the 26th, bringing probably quite a bit of rain. Hints of being a bit stormy there for the very end of February. Low pressure carries on, driving in from off the Atlantic. It's all moving from west to east. It's all very westerly and zonal. That's how we finish up on ensemble member number 14. Winds still in from the west-southwest. No fundamental change on the pattern that we've had throughout the winter. Ensemble member 15, low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south next Sunday into more extended range. This one's driving in low pressure from the northwest. It looks like it's having a go at building some higher pressure in the Atlantic. So this one's going to go for an end of February cold snap. This is day 10, Wednesday 26th of February. Winds turning into the north, a little bit of a cold snap is developing there very quickly, only lasts a day or so, and then we're back into those milder westerlies again as the high pressure just can't, like the mid-Atlantic ridge, just can't sustain itself against the jet stream, and the low pressure's coming in from off the Atlantic. So very quickly we go back into westerlies. That's how we finish up with ensemble member number 15, looking westerly. Ensemble member 16 has high pressure to south, low pressure to the north on Sunday. Up to day 10, low pressure continues to rattle in from off the Atlantic, just no stopping it this winter, and even now moving in towards the beginning of the spring. We're beyond day 10 to 27th of February. Low pressure is starting to take a little bit more of a southerly track, so this one's going to pull off an end of February cold snap as well. This is Saturday the 29th of February into a cold northerly wind. Again, I don't think any ridge in the mid-Atlantic ridge of the Atlantic going to be able to sustain. It's showing signs of toppling quite quickly, but that one does pull off a cold snap for the last day or two of February and the opening day or so of March. By very end to the 3rd of February, we're going back into those milder westerly winds as well. Ensemble member number 17, same old story for next Sunday. High pressure is over France, Spain, Portugal. Low pressure to the north of Scotland. We're in those westerly winds. As we move up towards day 10, there's very little change. Low pressure continues to drive in from off the Atlantic. This one again producing a bit of an end of February cold snap. Winds are going into the north, with this one probably only temporarily, and then for the final day of February we're back into a milder west to southwesterly again. Opening days of March building some higher pressure from the south, so certainly England and Wales settling down, and will be reasonably mild there as we begin March. Ensemble member number 18 looks quite stormy. Next weekend we head up to day 10 and we look like that. We're continuing to look quite flat and west. I don't think this one is going to pull off a late February cold snap, but we shall see. We get 29th of February, we're still looking generally quite westerly then. Opening day or so of March, a little bit of a colder northerly, and then we're back into those westerlies, southwesterlies once again. Ensemble member number 19 penultimately has low pressure coming in off the Atlantic for next Sunday, and moving up towards day 10. Again, low pressure continues to just drive in from off the Atlantic. Very little change. It's all very westerly. That's a very mild southwesterly there for the 1st of March. No end of February cold snap with this one. And we finish up, as far as we can go, to the 3rd of March, still dragging up that very mild southwesterly. The last ensemble member is ensemble member number 20 for next Sunday. Same idea, low pressure to our north, high pressure is to our south. Up to day 10, wet, windy and very mild. No cold snap for the end of February with this one either. We just continue to drive in westerly winds, and that's how you finish up as we get to the end of ensemble member number 20. Still looking rather flat and westerly, maybe a bit cooler as the jet stream has moved a bit further southwards, but it's all, everything's still all driving in off the Atlantic. There's certainly no sign of any northern blocking, as there hasn't been at any point through this winter really, and so even into the beginning of March, basically the westerly pattern, which is a mild pattern of course, goes on. The last thing we can look at is the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation graph. We can look at Banbury because that's the last place we looked at on this website, website.d. We did last time we looked at it in, I think it's Friday or Saturday's video. Anyways, we start off with a cold snap for the next couple of days. We are going to be going colder after this stormy weekend, after Storm Dennis. A little bit of cold snap coming up from Monday through to Wednesday. Then temperatures pushing up later in the week into next weekend turns very mild, as already established. Nearly all ensemble members have us in a mild west-southwesterly next weekend. And then as we go through the last days of February into the first days of March, got quite a split there, haven't we, between the various options, and this is all indicative of the fact that things are still driving in, where we're still driving in from off the Atlantic at the end of February and the beginning of March, but quite a few of those ensemble members are pulling off a cold snap, at least for a day or two, and so that's a reason that there appears to be so much scatter within the ensembles there, within each individual ensemble member. There's a lot of up and down going on as well, which is indicative of zonality. Also, of course, but it looks very changeable, looks very unsettled, and nothing definitively cold for anything more than like a few hours in terms of those northerly winds around the end of February, really. And precipitation-wise, plenty of rainfall spikes there as well, so very little sign of a protracted spell of settled weather. It looks like we're going to keep this westerly zonal, very unsettled weather going even into the beginning of March, even as we get to mid-tropical spring, looks like there's going to be very little change to the overall pattern that we've been in throughout this winter. Right from the start of it, we're going to finish the winter with that same pattern and even go on into the next season with that same pattern. That's quite unusual to end a season with the same pattern that you started a season with. Normally you get at least one quite significant pattern change through a season. So quite an unusual winter really, in the sheer persistence of this Atlantic driven positive AO, NAO, westerly zonal type pattern. Quite unusual what's happened with this winter. Right, we'll probably do another couple more ensembles watches, and then I think we'll probably finish them. I would suspect it'll be, the last one we'll probably do with ensembles watch will be Sunday the 1st of March in a couple of weeks' time, because normally this is something that we just do during the winter, so I doubt we will keep ensembles watch running into the spring, but there'll be a couple more still to come. Don't forget to check out all today's other videos. Tomorrow we're just going to have a week to 10-day video update, so come back for that then. But that's all for now for Ensembles Watch tonight and all of today's updates, this weekend's updates. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.